Hello and welcome to my updated Restoration Druid guide for World of Warcraft Legion patch 7.0. Keep in mind this is a beginner's guide to playing a healing druid. I might be releasing an advanced guide based on demand in the future. This guide will focus on two aspects: talents for 5-man in raid environments, stat priority based on the content you decide to do, and the playstyle associated with both. In Legion, Restoration Druid will have different stat priority and playstyle depending if you decide to raid or focus on mythic dungeons. For level 15 talent, most recommended talent would be Scenario Ward, which basically provides an additional hut for your tank, which is very important in 5-man dungeons. And because your master increases healing on players based on how many huts they have, which basically means try and keep as many huts on your party members as possible without running out of mana. Abundance here is also a valid option as it decreases healing touch cast time and increases regrowth crit chance based on the number of rejuvenations active. I personally use regrowth a lot depending if the target is about to die or if I have a clear casting proc, so both of these options are valid. For level 30 talent, the clear choice is Displacer Beast. Who doesn't want to blink to avoid dying? And as a lot of the fights in the Emerald Nightmare require a lot of movement, this is a clear winner. For level 45 talent, choose depending on the difficulty of the dungeon. Guardian Affinity reduces damage taken by 10%. If you feel squishy in the dungeon, this might be worth picking up. Feral Affinity is mainly used to help the party with the DPS, as the Balance Affinity talent is a lot weaker at pushing the DPS numbers. Mythic Plus dungeons might require for you to DPS, so this is based on the content you are doing. It is also worth noting that you will waste a global cooldown shifting into the cat form while providing the extra DPS to the party. Level 60 talents provide a list of CC abilities. For most part, Typhoon, which is a knockback ability, will be the most useful in 5-mans, providing an AoE interrupt if used correctly. For level 75 talent, choose either Incarnation Tree of Life, which is a 30-second buff to healing and provides enhanced rejuvenation, wild growth and regrowth. This is extremely strong when paired with Innervate, which I will cover later in the playstyle section. Or you can go with Cultivation, which provides an additional hut to the target, which are affected with rejuvenation and are below 60% health. This is very strong when you know that the dungeon will provide enough damage to the party to keep them low for long periods of time, as it works wonders with a Druid Mastery. For level 90, the best choice for 5-man dungeons will be Germination. An extra hut for party members means additional healing due to our Mastery. This is the main reason why our Mastery is so much better in smaller groups. In 5-man group we have the global cooldowns to place multiple huts on DPS and tanks, while in raid scenario there are just too many targets, which means we cannot focus on just a few. This is of course based on the fight, as Ursoc Encounter is a prime example where Germination could be useful. For level 100 talent, the recommended choice is Flourish, which extends the duration of our huts. This is extremely strong when paired with the artifact ability, but if you feel that the tank is taking too much damage, Stone Bark could be used instead, as it shortens the cooldown of Iron Bark and increases hot healing. This is the stat priority for 5-man dungeons. Mastery is the king here, which is direct opposite to a raid scenario. In 5-man groups we focus on the application of as many huts as possible per member of the group. The more healing over time effects on the target equals more healing per application. Haste and crit are also decent stats that should not be ignored, but you want to pick up rings and neck with mastery on them. It is also worth enchanting the neck with the Mark of the Trained Soldier, as it provides static 300 mastery gain. If you are in a raid scenario, the build for Resto Druids changes dramatically. For level 15 you want to pick up Prosperity, which adds an additional charge of Swiftmend and lowers its cooldown, which works well with level 75 talent Soul of the Forest, which most importantly increases the healing of your next wild growth after using Swiftmend. In a raid, wild growth is likely to be your most important ability, and having 2 charges of Swiftmend allows to empower 2 wild growths in a row. The other major difference for a raiding druid is the level 90 talent. This is the choice between Spirit Blossoms, which adds an additional hut to a player affected by Efflorescence, aka Wild Mushroom, which is quite strong if you can maintain a good uptime with Efflorescence, most suited for fights where there is a limited movement. Or you can pick up Inner Peace, which reduces Tranquility cooldown to 2 minutes. With the entry raid to the expansion being very mana intensive, having one of the strongest healing abilities in the game on a 2-minute cooldown will save lives and most importantly mana. Stat priority of a raid druid is a lot different. Haste and crit are both very good and should be stacked if possible. Haste is better than crit, but not beyond the point of completely disregarding critical strike. Because of how different mastery is valued based on the content you are doing, it should be noted that 2 gear sets should be used for 5-mans and raids in order to maximize HPS. I consider entry raids to be quite mana intensive and would recommend new players who are raiding to pick up regen trinkets if possible. The best 2 are Dark Moon Deck Promises and Infernal Alchemist Stone, in that order. The basics of playing a Restoration Druid involves making sure to get most out of your spells. Light Bloom should have a near perfect uptime on tanks. Remember that you can reapply at around 4 seconds, which activates the bloom effect. Also make sure to keep Efflorescence uptime high and make sure to recast it when the raid moves. With Spring Blossom's talent, Efflorescence can provide a large amount of healing. In 5-mans you want to keep as many HOTS as possible on priority targets, such as tanks. With Germination talent you can have 2 rejuvenations active on the same person. And Scenario Ward is another HOT that you can have if you have decided to take the talent. Don't forget that a mastery increases healing on the target based on how many healing over time effects they have. In a raid environment you should have Souls of the Forest talent, which means after using Swiftmend you will get a buff which will increase the next wild growth healing by 75%, which is indicated by the glowing icon. You want to make use of this as much as possible in a raiding scenario. Don't forget the Prosperity talent. You have 2 charges of Swiftmend available. One powerful combo that can be quite useful in 5-man is Incarnation Tree of Life paired with Innervate. Innervate allows for mana free casting for 10 seconds, which works great with the tree buff, as it allows for instant regrowths and more powerful wild growths. Combo breaker number 2 involves having multiple rejuvenations on the party or raid, casting Wild Growth and activating Flourish, which is then followed by the artifact ability Essence of Ganir. This will extend the duration of your present HOTS including Wild Growth, and it will greatly increase the tick rate of the heals. Think of it as a mini tranquility every 1.5 minutes. Thank you for watching the guide. Hopefully it provided some helpful tips for new Restoration Druids. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you liked the video, as this helps me out a lot.